Hi everyone, I'm Princess Style, and I have a different kind of video to make today. Honestly, I don't want to have to say this, but I think someone needs to. Um, I know I don't have a lot of followers or subs, but maybe someone will know what I'm talking about. So I'm going to try to sign this and say it because it's only fair if I'm going to criticize a particular person doing something that I do it in a language that they can understand. And of course, you may be thinking, um, why do you want to criticize like a deaf person? And my answer is I don't want to, but I'm noticing a tendency in the deaf community to do something, and I find it concerning. So I want to talk about it. The thing is, I was talking to a woman at my church, and she said she experienced the same thing with deaf family she knew and other deaf people. So it's not just me. It hasn't just been one time. I want to make that clear. Clear? Maybe. Okay. So to back up to my first ASL class is when I noticed this thing. I don't know what to call it. A tendency. I'll call it a tendency. Um, in my first class, which was about a year ago, um, I learned this word that exists, and the word is audism. It's a word for looking down on um, people because they can't hear, or to discriminate anyone because they can or can't hear. Um, it's a it's a strange term because it's hard to explain what that means, really. But it was in a video, and video said, uh, well, it used the example of schools laws wanting deaf people to get hearing aids, like hearing aids, to learn how to speak, to make them do this. Um, and then at the end of the video, actual deaf people were talking about their experiences with feeling looked down on, I should say excluded. I'm not saying that right. Exclude. My problem is not that this is not true. It's true. It happens. It happens a lot. I'm sure. But the attitude I saw from these people was, I would say, hostile. It was angry. It was upset. And it was over little things sometimes. Just like being yelled at by someone driving, which is bad. I mean, it's not a good way to act, or it's not polite. But it's not something that only happens to deaf people. If you go by numbers, it happens to deaf people less than anyone else because there's more hearing people than deaf people, and road rage is an everyday thing. But I get it. It's not kind to, should I say, insult someone because they're deaf, or to say being deaf makes you a lesser person. I don't know anyone who's said that, but I know certain cultures think so. America, honestly, not um, not long ago, thought that way, but we've always been nicer than some countries where you are cursed if you're deaf. Didn't quite take things that far most of the time. Sometimes you get your crazy people group that believes that. I mean, just like we have the KKK. Like there were like there's mean people everywhere, and they do make groups, and I'm not denying that is true. It's very true, but here's the problem. It's overwhelming as a hearing student of deaf culture to hear this, first of all, but also to feel as if I'm being taught that I am already like this. Like before I came to class, I had preconceived ideas, expectations about deaf people, and just class's job to fix that about me. I think that is assuming a lot. How do you know what I think, what I feel? If I thought this, why would I go to a class to learn how to communicate with deaf people? And I think the answer might be, well, we know that you are not like this, but lots of hearing people are like this. So you should know they're like this so you can be informed. Why? Because then you can do something about it. What can I do about what hearing people everywhere think? Well, you could tell them differently. I mean, think about it. What's that going to change? I mean, what am I supposed to do? Now, I understand I do need to know hearing people can be mean to deaf people and do bad things. It's not because we can hear that we do those things, but because there's more hearing people, not deaf people, because statistically, it's more likely, more common. And that's true. Deaf people are, I think, less than one or two. Just a second. Sorry. You get scam calls at the worst times, right? Anyway, what was I saying? Yeah, so statistically it's like 1-2% of population. Anyway, which is tiny. So it just by politically speaking, numbers that people just have less influence because this country is democratic. It works by votes. There's really no fixing that or changing it. I don't think it needs to be fixed. It's the most fair way, I think, to run the country. But so it's true, hearing people have power. That is true. But hearing people are very different in how they see power should be used, which is why laws for deaf people have changed and changed and changed through the years. And now deaf people are legally equal to hearing people. Now that ASL can be taught more and to more people, and people think it's a real language. It's hard to find anyone who could say deaf people are not speaking, communicating, sharing ideas like hearing people are. In fact, the only people I've seen say something like that are deaf. Truthfully, I've never seen a hearing person say, oh, well, deaf people think differently. Deaf people do differently. I've only seen deaf people say this. It's not wrong, but they're the ones saying we're different. Hearing people, the ones I meet, just think you're deaf. I'm not. You speak sign. I speak with my voice. That's it. Like, there's these small differences between us. And it's deaf people who have told me, and it may be true. It probably is true, but they're the ones who said it. They've told me, well, we think differently. We have different rules, different how we're like polite, not polite. This is okay. That's fine. That's learning a different culture anywhere. It's the same with other cultures. I don't not agree with that. But I just do not don't understand how that makes hearing people, should I say, not able to understand deaf culture without these special videos telling us what happens. I mean, like, we've never seen teasing, bullying before. Like, we don't know this happens. I mean, see, my signing is limited. That's the thing. If I was just speaking right now, I could tell you easily what I'm trying to say. But I am trying to say it in ASL so that if you are deaf, you can understand me. There is no way, if I did not respect deaf people, I would even try to explain this in ASL. I would not learn ASL if I did not respect deaf people. And before starting ASL, I never thought deaf people and me were that different. They could hear. I mean, they could not hear. I could. That was it. I actually thought deaf culture was interesting. It was exciting. How they use light, they use movement. I thought that was cool. But I'm learning there's more to story. So that was the video part of this. Now, what my friend told me was that her family was deaf and their friends would not would not interact with hearing people when they were together, just kind of ignore hearing people. And the reason this bothered my friend was because her family had no problems communicating with her all the time with hearing people. So they could. They just chose not to when deaf people were around. Maybe not a problem. Only problem is that deaf people complain that hearing people do this when they are the only deaf person and hearing people are in a group. I call double standard here. Now, it's true this was only my friend's experience, but it happened with more than one person multiple times. And she's not the only one. In my sign class, I've had 4 different teachers now. 2, fine, nice, polite, just like anyone. They didn't make me feel strange for being able to hear. But 2 did. The first, and honestly the one I have now, maybe they didn't do it knowingly, but it's odd to see this 2 times. If it was one time, I maybe think it's just that person. That's how they act. The first way was just showing these videos at all. See, I'm not in deaf culture class. I'm in ASL class. So why do I need to see videos about autism when I'm trying to rectify my that I can't sign? I'm trying to fix this if it's a problem. And it's not actually a problem, it's just it's a fact. It's something I cannot do, and I want to do it. Great. Wonderful. So why make me feel bad because I'm hearing? That is what these videos do. Do not try to tell me they do not do this. My classmates and I felt bad. We felt guilty for sharing characteristics with people who would do these things. Not all these things were wrong, but now culturally they're not seen as okay. Back then, it was a question. People didn't know if sign language was going to work well to communicate with deaf people. You can discuss like all day the good, the bad things about signing, communicating, and how people thought about it, but you cannot say those people were wrong, like trying to be. Like they were not trying to be wrong. They were trying to understand how to fix the communication barrier, which is real still today. So like it's like, first of all, my classmates felt bad for something that was not bad. It was a thing that needed to be um, worked through, just like any other change in culture has to be worked through. People have questions, have concerns, have misunderstandings. Is not bad. It's part of the process. My classmates, I think, felt like everything was bad. But that's maybe on them, right? Maybe they should not think this. But again, there was a double standard that I saw. And more than that, as I've met more teachers, how they teach is not respectful to hearing students. Let me explain. Deaf people have spent years and years and years saying, let us learn in our language. It's our language. It's how we understand. Okay, that's fine. You should learn how you understand. Perfect. I'm not agreeing with you. But why am I not ever allowed to use my voice in ASL class when I was in ASL 1, 2, 3, now 4? Never. Never, ever. I can write if I need to, but I cannot talk to my classmates in English. Or my teacher. My teacher may be deaf, maybe hearing, maybe deaf, but can hear. They can use the hearing aid to correct people in class, but I cannot use my voice. I want to know how this is different from telling deaf people they cannot use sign in class when they're learning English words, ideas, concepts. Use sign to explain. Well, I'm learning a new language, concept, ideas. I need it explained in my language so I can understand. I got it written in ASL 1. I mean, at least they did. They did that much. But in ASL 2, actually, ASL 2, that was good. My teacher made sure we understood well. because he wanted us to understand. But in 3 and 4, signed, signed, signed. If it's written, it's very um, begrudgingly, like, how come you can't understand? Sorry, it's not my language. And just to be clear, I studied other languages, not just ASL, and this is not the approach, not how you teach any language unless it's like a computer, like on a computer program, internet. Then it teaches like that, but it uses pictures and there's like a reason, there's like logic to how it shows you. And I've never seen that in ASL class. I've never seen that used. So I think my complaint makes sense. And it would not be a problem if there wasn't just this shame with needing to use your voice, where like the teacher will like tell you, oh, you'll never learn like if you use your voice. You'll never like learn if your classmates help you. Let me help you. Help you. Well, when you help me, I can't understand because I do not speak sign language well yet. So how does it help? I'm trying to learn. Why am I shamed for needing to use my language when you complain hearing people not let you use yours to learn? What is the difference? I am confused. Tell me. Okay. So that's another problem. In my class now, my teacher has actually made fun of one student for making one mistake like at the beginning of class, and it's been like 2-3 weeks. I'm sorry, 2-3 weeks still talking about one mistake one time in the past in my French class. This would never be thought of as good or nice. The students would not like a teacher who did this, but because they are deaf and we are made to feel bad for not understanding one little detail about any sign, it's okay. I am not making this up. Okay, I am not making this up. This is true. Any little mistake, do you say words perfectly all the time? No. Do deaf people sign perfectly all the time? I have seen my teachers make mistakes again and again and again. Everyone makes mistakes. Speaking, signing. Why is it okay to laugh at the person over and over and over again? Maybe in deaf culture, that's not disrespectful. But in hearing culture, yes, that's disrespectful. And if I need to respect you in your culture, then you need to respect me in mine, or there is, again, it's hypocritical. There's a double standard. All right. I'm coming now to, I believe, the last point I have. I know this has been a long video. I have one last point. And that is making the issue more important than it is. Deaf issues are important, but there's a proportion. I watched a video for class recently, and at the end of this video, they called the discrimination against deaf people, and I quote, bloodless genocide, for who you do not understand sign. Are you kidding me? Bad, yes, but the same level as killing people because of their race? Okay, if it is bloodless at all, it's better than genocide. Okay? Well, it's just a word. No, it is not just a word. It is an idea. To use violent terms like this to describe something not violent is wrong. It's not fair. Yes, it is not fair. Okay. True. But it is not pure evil. Okay? Like, there's a difference between those two things. I don't even know. Like, why? Why call it that word? Unless you want people to feel sorry for you. I thought you were proud of what you are. Proud people don't need labels that make it seem like they are victims of terrible, horrible killing and just like sins. Like, no. You know, ask people who were in the genocide or who had parents who were, they're still alive. now people like that and ask those people if they are ashamed of what they are. Do they need to feel like victims? I mean, if they do, okay, at least they have a reason though. People wanting you to have a hearing aid to learn in English, to not work some jobs is not the same as what happened to those people not that long ago. That's a very, very serious word to use. And if that's how you think about in being deaf, then I just have to ask, like, I mean, what does this change? Like, what is it changing? I think that speaks for itself, honestly. I should not feel judged for what I do not know and what I have not experienced in my life. I should be judged for what I do about my experiences. It's the same with everyone. I do not judge any deaf person because they are deaf, because they've been looked discriminated against. I judge them for what they do about it. And I judge hearing person not for having the ability to hear, but for what they do with it. Hearing, it's part of who we are. Same as deafness. Oddly enough, the difference is many deaf people have a choice about if they can hear or not. Hearing people don't have that choice unless they want to make themselves deaf by hurting themselves, but that's not a good idea, obviously. So basically, if you have the choice to be hearing or deaf and you choose to be deaf, you chose that life. You chose to be a part of that world. There's nothing wrong with that world, but it was your choice. You are not a victim. That's all there is to it. I cannot make that choice. All I can do is try to understand you. If I'm doing that now, then if you want to communicate with me, you'll meet me halfway. If you do not meet me halfway, all I can think is you do not want to communicate with me. You want me to become like you. I'm not like you. I will never be like you as long as you think I need to sign to be like you. But if we ignore this one thing about ourselves that we can hear, that we can't hear, and both try to speak, to communicate with each other's languages and culture, then it won't matter. But it's not my responsibility to be part of your world. It's my choice. And if you show me a video that makes me feel my choice is not being honored, I may change my mind. If I do not feel welcome by you, I am being honest. I am not hating on deaf people. I have met very nice deaf people who really wanted to communicate with me and liked helping people, and they liked connecting people together. Hearing, deaf, doesn't matter. So I am not saying that this is everyone. It's not. But it's a lot. It's a lot of people who feel this way. And it is not helping anyone. So I guess that is all I wanted to say. It's a problem. And it's a problem that hearing people are afraid to talk about, because we can be seen as the bullies in this situation, but we are not, because no one can make you the victim until you decide you're the victim. That's true for everyone. So, yeah, that's all. Thank you for watching. If you finished this video, thank you. I know it was long, but I had a lot to say. More sign videos coming soon, because I'm not giving up just because I have a problem, clearly. So, until next time, peace out.